Members of the 10th National Assembly have officially been sworn into the Senate and House of Representatives, with the selection of key leaders who emerged after in-house elections. Senator Godswill Akpabio is now the president of the Senate and Barau Jibrin declared deputy Senate president. In the House of Representatives, Honorable Tajudeen Abass was declared the speaker after he polled a total number with Honorable Benjamin Kalu, the deputy speaker. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has advised the presiding officers as well as members of the 10th National Assembly to make every day of the next 4 years count. Well, joining us in the studio is Honorable Segun Olulade, former National Secretary, Humanitarian Directorate, Tinubu Shetima Presidential Campaign Council, PCC, and an APC stalwart. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here.
Right. Leading up to the inauguration and the election of presiding officers at the 10th Assembly, there was so much intensity, pressure. A lot of persons were expecting fireworks on the day of, the election of these persons. But it happened that it went smoothly. And it seemed that the majority of persons did not even expect that it would go the way it did. From your perspective, what do you think happened behind the scene?
Well, first of all, I would say God is a Nigerian. Because when you look at the way it all went, like you have said, there is a lot of anxiety in the system, and they were thought, this person is coming out, that fellow is coming out. We have the GCs in House of Rep, we have a Yari and Oji Kalu, and all of them, there was this anxiety all over. But like I said, that God is a Nigerian. God has been so good to us in this country. We have a president that was also a former senator. And we also have the vice president, who is also a former senator. And we have even the SGF, a former senator. We have the chief of staff, the former speaker. So
and
we
even
have
the first lady.
Even the first lady. So they know the dynamics in the legislative arm of government. So they were able, and looking at the president of the nation, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is antecedent. He understands the game, and he could address it. I listened to one of the programs where it was said that he even had to sneak out to meet with this lawmaker. It was the first time in the history of this country you will see the president engaging the legislator. After that first meeting that he engaged all the members of House of Representatives, members-elect as they were then, and that of the Senate, you could see, even those who are in opposition, you could see their confession about the leadership that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is providing for the nation. So with that alone, if Mr. President could come to your house or could engage you directly, you don't have any other option than to say, yes, this man means business. And he was able to explain his agenda for the nation. So I think that is what really played out. A lot of people thought it's going to go otherwise, but at the end of the day, after consulting with the man, and the level of those who are also the foot soldiers of Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the National Assembly, you could see them moving around. They left no stone unturned. They were touching everybody. They were reaching out to everybody. The governor, the transitional rulers, you can see that that level of engagement is going to be very difficult for anybody to defeat the candidate of the party and the candidate of Mr. President. So we can be rest assured that that is what played out. We have a leader that understands the game, that understands that people first. You see, when you can bring in people, when you can engage the people and make them take ownership of something, it makes it easier. And that is what Mr. President has been doing since he came into office. And that is why you can see that even the members of the National Assembly took ownership of their leadership. There was nothing like some level of backdoor. Even when the agitation of if Yari is qualified or not came up, they said, okay, let's go voting. And at the end of the day, even the man that was preparing to be the deputy could not come out to contest again. And same applies to those who are at the House of Rep. You can see that it was a house. When you have a situation where the first 50 people are saying, I voted for Tajudeen Abass, I voted for Tajudeen. If you are a wise legislator, you should know. But if you do anything otherwise, it's not only you that will be affected, because even your constituents will be affected too. So it shows that we now have a house that we cannot rely on, that they will do the needful. We have seen the Ninth Assembly, they've done massively well, but we know that there are those laws they pass. They pass about 510 bills into act. But how many of them will have the life? You see, we are not we are not scared. I mean, we don't have scarcity of laws in this country. What we do have is that how effective are those acts or laws in the system. So I think that's the area we need to look into this particular dispensation. And with the leadership that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is providing, and with what Senator Akpabio is promising us as a nation, and what Speaker Abbas is also promising us, I think we are, that's why I said earlier that God is a Nigerian.
All right. Now, there was some kind of comic relief when one of the members from, I think, Delta said that my hearts are with Wasi, but my vote goes to Abbas. It was really amazing. And it just created some kind of, camaraderie and, some kind of togetherness and so on, and even friendship within the entire process, which is a good thing. Now, let's come to the issue of what people were talking about, was the issue of imposition of candidates. That issue came up. In fact, if you listen to the narrative of persons like Yari at that time and persons like Wasi at that time, they were saying that what they stand for is a situation where there is no imposition of candidate. They use the word imposition of candidate. Now, before then, we knew that the party had come up with their candidates. These are the likely people. Let all of us rally around these persons so that there can be seamlessness and so on. But what do you make of statements like that when some persons feel that when the party takes a position, it amounts to an imposition of candidacy?
Well, democracy all over the world, we have seen it happening everywhere. It's never a situation where a political party will fold their hands and say, you just go on the field and elect whosoever you want. In America, it's been done. They will have told you that this is a party, the person that the party is supporting. So what the party have done in Nigeria, what the APC have done, is nothing strange. The party have the right to say, these are our candidates for this position. It's just like the way the party will say, this is a candidate of the party for presidential election. This is a candidate of the party for governorship election. So for the party, they must have done their homework and look at some critical issues, such as religion, such as zoning, and so on and so forth, and come up with the idea that, look, we need this particular fellow at this time. And that is why the issue of imposition is never there. And when the party presented a fellow, it's not that it's automatic. Now, that is why I said they started engaging. And what the party provided was what Mr. President supported. So it's just like this is the position of the party. You can't go against the position of the party as a party man. So when you say there is an imposition, it's funny because that's not the situation. The situation is that party are supporting a particular candidate. And going back to memory lane, when you look at what happened in 2015, you cannot now blame the party to say, this time around, this is a strategy we are using. And even in 2015, when they say it was Lawa, the Saraki group was able to negotiate with PDP. And that is the exact thing they did this time around also. So the Yari group have already negotiated with the PDP to provide them with the deputy Senate president. Why in the National Assembly at the House of Reps, they were also negotiating to provide someone else as deputy
from the opposition.
From Labour Party. So you can understand that it is not what we thought was going on that is really going on. So we, as a party, and as someone who has been in the legislative arm of government before, it is important that the party acts the way they acted, and the leadership of the party and the leadership of the country must also see to it that no, because it is when we have a seamless relationship, seamless engagement, and that's one of the things that helped the Ninth Assembly, and we must give it to them, because if not because of the way they were able to engage the president, the then president, you will have been seeing a lot of issues. Even some of this bill that is being passed will not have been passed.
Right.
So we need a situation where, when an agenda is being set, as in a manifesto that a particular party campaigned on, we shouldn't be able to look at how to jeopardize that campaign, because that is what Nigerians, that is what the people voted for. And that is why I said it is important that we have a seamless situation where engagement of the National Assembly with the executive arm will be the main way of reaching out to each other and settling issues.
We're talking about this matter of rubber stamp legislature, which some Nigerians are concerned about, because we're looking at the fact that the matter of imposition or not imposition, so to speak. And Nigerians are saying, look at what happened at the Ninth Assembly. If you look at the level of our debt, it was as a result of, the legislature just accepting whatever the president brought and perhaps not performing their oversight function. They just give approval to whatever the president brought in at the time. And so those are the concerns Nigerians are raising now.
Well, those concerns are legitimate, but to be sincere with you, what is the meaning of rubber stamping or rubber stamp legislature that we are referring to? Is it until when they start seeing chairs being thrown or tables being broken or the maize
as we have seen sometime in assembly?
Is that when you don't have a rubber stamp legislature, or when you see a peaceful house? In Lagos State, we pride ourselves as the most peaceful house of assembly, the most articulate house of assembly. And why? Because the house is peaceful. It's peaceful, but we were able to do a lot, and that's why you can see Lagos performing. Why? Because it is not until you throw stone or you throw bottles. It is not even decent for leaders to be doing such. So we expect a peaceful National Assembly that will be able to engage the executive arm of government and perform their oversight function as expected. The oversight function is the most important aspect of legislature, apart from the passing of the money bill, which is appropriation bills that they do. Aside from that, the most important aspect of having a legislature is for them to perform that oversight function. When 2 naira is being given for a particular project, how do they supervise those 2 naira if that 2 naira is properly spent or not? If we say this is a policy we want to engage in, we saw something that is very, very unfortunate. We saw a situation where the NDIC chairman, Honorable Abdul Latif, came out of recent to say even the bill that is being passed at the National Assembly was being manipulated by the Mephiles in the system to ensure that they inject something that was not
alien to the law.
To the law. So who did that? And I think that matter must be properly investigated. And that is one of the reasons that it is important that the legislature do not always close their eyes to some of these things. If you are passed a bill in the House, you should expect that that bill should be what the president should assent to. So those are the things that have been going on over the years that nobody even knows or care about. So it is time for the legislature, the 10th Assembly. They must wake up to their responsibility. They must stand up for Nigerians. They must see that if 10 naira is being voted for a particular project, that 10 naira is properly spent. So that the president brought up a particular policy or in the area of debt or whatever, or it is understandable that they might have discussed this matter. Because that's what is obtainable all over the world. If you are able to engage your legislature that this is the things, so what you see outside does not mean that they have not even reduced whatever thing that's been brought by having a personal discussion with the executive arm to say, no, we can't bring this up, you can bring this one up, we agreed on this, and then so if they brought such things, it is expected that the legislative arm of government can now say, okay, it's because they are in the know. And that is what we want the 10th Assembly to continue to do, engage the executive in every aspect of governance, in policy making, in law making. They must continue to engage with the executive government of the day. So for me, rubber stamp legislature is, to some people, they felt until when you start throwing stones. That is when you are not a rubber stamp legislature. But when everything is peaceful, when you are able to engage constructively, that is the word. Constructively, if they can be able to engage with the executive to bring out the best policy for the nation, to bring out the best law for the nation, to perform their oversight function effectively, then Nigerians will be happy at the end of the day.
All right. Now let's talk about this Muslim ticket a little bit, because it was because we had the Muslim ticket in the presidency. It was part of what informed where the leadership of the National Assembly should tilt to the way it did, even narrowing it down to the persons that the party had chosen, because they were looking at the issue of being, carrying the entire country along, balancing everywhere so that there's no tension from any section of the country, as the case may be. Now, we saw the debates that the Muslim ticket generated. Some people likened it to 1993 during the MQ, Abiola Kingibe era. We have had it before, but some others said, that time, the narrative and the dynamics of that time was different, because we were just coming out of a military regime. And at that time, anything would go, anyhow. But as it is right now, others felt this would be an opportunity to demystify those suspicions that Nigerians always have when it comes to issues of religion and all of that. Now, we have had we had an election with the Muslim ticket. The heavens are not falling. In fact, in less than 3 weeks, Nigerians are seeing changes so far. A lot of persons, in fact, there was someone on radio this morning who said, well, I didn't vote Tinubu, but now I think I am happy with what he's doing so far, and I'm hopeful that Nigeria will bounce back to where it's supposed to be. So do you think this Muslim ticket has demystified those things in such a way that it's creating a template where going forward, it wouldn't matter where the persons and candidates come from, whether they are Muslim or Christian or female or not or South as the case may be? Do you think this is a template for it?
I think you have said it all. Sincerely speaking, it is we politicians that will always want to, and the media, we use the media to ensure that our own agenda is being said to the public. Sincerely speaking, what is Muslim? What is Muslim when the food is provided for every average Nigerians? What is Muslim when the roads are being constructed? when there is security, when unemployment becomes a thing of the past. What is Muslim? When I can have uninterrupted power supply. What is Muslim? When everything that we have been craving for to move this country forward is provided. So the issue of Muslim does not even arise from day one. Ashwaju have looked into who can be my vice. And you can see, both of them are, he's an economist, Shettima is also a banker. So it shows you the direction. They
understand the economy.
They understand it because, and one of the major problems we have in this country is the issue of economy. If we can address the economic issue in this nation, Nigeria will never remain the same. And we have had someone who have the antecedent of changing the narratives in the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Lagos State, who met a 600 million naira internally generated revenue and make it what it is today by establishing institutions. Establish institutions and introducing technology into means of generating revenue in Lagos State. And we can see where Lagos is now. We are talking about over 51 billion per month, IGR per month. So, and when you also look at what the level that Shettima met Bauchi, it was, Borno, sorry. And you can realize that was even when there was heat of Boko Haram when he came into office. And how was he able to introduce JTF? So you look at people who understand the pains and how he was able to rebuild churches when he was governor of Borno after the Boko Haram's insurgents in that particular state. So we look at people, actually was carefully strategic in picking Shettima, who we understand that he has faced the issue of insecurity and he should know something about insecurity, who is also an economist, who is also a senator. So everything that is needed is in this government. And I will continue to say God is in Nigeria because we have seen a situation where things are just working the way we expected. Because within the less than 2 weeks now that they came into office, or I think it's now 2 weeks now.
Yes, it's 2 weeks, but it's less than 3 weeks.
Less than 3 weeks that they came into office. We can see what has continuously been happening to us as a country. Things are changing gradually. People who ordinarily have sworn to say they will never see him as a president of Nigeria. Today, the music is changing. Why? Because what do you also need from your president or from your leader that you cannot find in Bola Ahmed Tinubu? And that's why some of us who were close, a little bit close to him, could be telling them as it were then that, look, if we have a Bola Tinubu as a president of this nation, then Nigeria will see the change that we all desire as a country. And that's what we are saying today. So for me, I think the Muslim issue will fade away very soon. In less than 6 months, quote me today, less than 6 months, Muslim thing will be of the past. Less than 6 months, Nigerians will start looking for competency. It's not going to be the issue of you are from Sokoto, I am from Oyo. That won't work again.
Yes, he's forming a government of national competence.
Exactly. Yes, national competence. Exactly. That's what.
I think water is finding its level already when it comes to all.
I mean, when you look at even the appointment that he has made in few weeks, I mean, in the last 2 weeks, yes, you'll have seen that this man understands what he wants to do.
Right.
And he has a program that is following.
Okay, let's come back to the 10th Assembly once again. The president has, told them that they have to make every day of the 4 years that they have count. And I'm wondering how you expect them to hit the ground running, even though they have said that they are going to look at the matter of security as well as the economy. But in what direction do you want them to hit the ground running?
Well, for me, like I said earlier, they must perform their oversight function. We have enough laws. We have those agencies, those acts that we have, the bill that have turned to acts, if we can implement 60 to 70% of them, Nigeria will never remain the same. I always believe there are some of them that needs amendment, which I also want them to look into. But that area of oversight function, let every minister be accountable to Nigeria. Let every agency be accountable to Nigeria. Let everybody knows that if you are given an opportunity to serve this nation, you must be ready to serve. And I'm sure with the leadership of Ashadra, you are going to see a lot of leakages being blocked. And that will bring in more vibrancy in the economy. And the issue of security would also be tackled. You can see a proactive leader. Something is happening in Nasarawa. He has been able to call the governor to order to say, come and explain to me what is happening in your state. We have seen a situation of kidnapping within a short period. What has happened? We have seen an issue where we are having two speakers parading themselves as Speaker of your House of Assembly. Come and explain your own view to me. So that is a leader. Every aspect of the government, every sector of the government, he has been able to address them accordingly and swiftly to also. A situation where things happen today and we will not hear anything until maybe in another 2 or 3 weeks before the Mr. President will respond to it, is gradually becoming a thing of the past. And that is what Nigerians are yearning for. That is why we see all this agitation over the time. No Nigerians, like you have said earlier concerning the Muslim, no Nigeria cares about who is there or who is not there. Once everything is working, all we are craving for, all we are agitating for is that Nigeria must work. And now we have seen a leader who is providing that leadership that will make Nigeria to work. So the issue will gradually be a thing of the past.
Earlier on, you were talking about some amendments to some laws that you would like to see, and I'm wondering which of the laws are you talking about?
I just spoke about NDIC now,
okay,
where something happened between the National Assembly and the executive and the presidency, where there is a lot of manipulation. So we need to look into, it's not just about a particular law. We need to look about every other laws because we can never tell how many of such we have seen in the system. If NDIC chairman is coming out today to tell others this is what has happened, we must also look at other laws that needs amendment. And we have also seen a situation where we're looking at the Electoral Act also. There are some things that we need to sit down and look at. How can we reject this electoral law with some pronouncement that are coming out from, even with some agitations that is very funny, that is coming out today. So the legislature must be able to look into such laws and see how to put it properly so that it won't cause any risks in future. So for me, I think that is one area that the National Assembly should look into in amending some of these laws. And it's not only the NDIC. We have seen even the PIB law Act that PIA, I mean, that people are talking about today. I know that there is also some agitation from the host communities that there are some certain things that they need to see in the PIA law. So those are the things that I think the 10th Assembly should look into and see how best to put it, and that will save the nation from all these agitations.
All right. The 9th Assembly, working with the president at that time, took time to start working on what some people might call restructuring in such a way that the exclusive list was being offloaded. We saw items like power, we saw items like railway and correctional centers that used to be called prisons, prison service, offloaded from the exclusive list into the concurrent list. Now states can be involved in not all of those areas. One critical area that Nigerians are saying is security. We've been talking about the issue of state police, and state police. Do you think this is the time? Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, President Tinubu, should take it a notch higher by ensuring that what he did in Lagos when he was around, where now we have the RRS, we have the Security Trust Fund, and all of that is working, be replicated across states so that states can come up with their own issues, because people say that security is always local. We know there are foreign aggression, but security is always local. If the people are involved and they know what the thing is, if you get the right intelligence, everywhere will be safe. So do you think it's the right time now to talk about state police?
I don't have any doubt that this current government is going to look into the area of state police because the leader, the president of the nation, was one of the first fellow who came up with this idea of state police, and he has been the major advocate for the state police. So for me, I think that will come to play, this particular. With the cooperation of the National Assembly, we should have a state police in the country. And because when we talk about the community or state police in the country, we're looking at an area where everybody is important, where everybody is going to be involved. The traditional rulers, I've seen them meeting with the president and talking about even the area of security. And I think that is one major area that the traditional rulers can be useful to our nation.
But they're asking for 50% of the security votes.
Well,
but is that wrong in itself?
That's a dangerous trend for me to get into.
But the issue there is, you see that the Constitution as it is did not provide functions for them in that sense. Now, if there's going to be a role given to them going forward, based on the law, you are going to be responsible for this and that and that and that and that, then of course you would say, of course there'll be votes to them.
But the question again is to do what? What are they going to buy weapons? What are they going to do with those monies?
No, what we're saying is if they are going to head a committee, if they are going to head a structure that is known by law for them to handle issues of security, of course, it's going to be their own responsibility. And, of course, there should be provision for that office because it's going to become an office now. So, of course, there'll be provision for that office. That's what one expects.
Yes, but the 50% issue is what I don't want to discuss.
It might be debatable.
That is debatable. But what I'm talking about is that it is important that we engage them. And if, peradventure, there is any of them that is caught not to be providing the responsibility that is given to them, then they should also have a sanction. So would they be ready to take up the sanction if they do not perform?
Right.
So I think those are the things we need to look at. Are we trying to preserve our traditional institution so that they cannot be messed up with? Or we want to engage them in a situation where once the law comes in and says that if you, as a traditional ruler of a particular community, and we see that there is the level of insecurity in that community, that means you are not capable, then you can be fired. Then
that's another debate altogether.
So those are the things that we must look into before jumping into this. Yes, it's a welcome development when we see a traditional ruler taking responsibility in the area of security or whatever area.
Or even governance.
Because that was how it were in the past, during the regions.
Yes.
So, regional government then. So, we have traditional rulers being the governor of this or whatever. They are given an opportunity to serve those days. But can we do the same this time around? What is going to be the law of the land in providing them with all the necessary incentive that they will need to perform in that office as security, number one security man or personnel of the community. So if anything come on board in that community, then we hold our traditional ruler to come and account for it. So those are the areas that we also need to look into. It's not that just giving them responsibility and say they can go back and sleep. No, we must look at how can we, as a state, as a government, also look at how to address the issue of insecurity. And in doing so, we need the traditional rulers. We need the community. We need the cooperation of every community, because there's no community in this country that you will not identify one criminal element. And once you can identify those criminal elements, what is government doing about them? You talk about the correctional centers.
Yes.
Do we have enough? Are we also just... We have seen documentaries on how our inmates are being just dumped into those correctional centers. Are they really correctional centers? Those are the things we need to ask questions about. If we say we have a correctional center, are they really correctional centers? If they are not, what can we do towards that? Because a correctional center is where, even if you have a bad character, once you get into a correctional center, is to correct that habit of yours or that character.
Become refined.
You become refined. I mean, they should be able to learn one or two things in the skills in the facility, as skills that they can now use when they are being released to the society. But with what we are getting, do we have enough money to also build more correctional centers?
Or even upgrade the one.
Or upgrade the ones that we have, and also provide these people good food and healthcare provision to those correctional centers, where you see about even those who were not, and justice. Justice is important. Yeah. Where we have somebody being picked on the road and they dump you there, and the family does not even know where, and they will never talk about the fellow for 10, 15 years, and when the guy is coming out, he's already another hardened criminal in the society. So those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. Right. What is police doing in that aspect? What is the correctional centers are also doing in that aspect? So I think it should be a win-win thing for us.
Right. Now, let's quickly look at the economy. We've seen what the president has done, floating the naira. I wonder what your perspective is to this.
Well, like I said, God is in Nigeria. For giving us President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, God really loved this country. And when you look at even the way he emerged, the kind of things that he faced, even from the government of the day as they were then, the people and all the lies they were able to say to the public. Today, people are now seeing the reality. They are seeing that, okay, this man they've told us so many bad things about are the one that is doing a lot of corrections to the already destroyed system. And if there's one thing I know about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you are going to see a very strong institutions being built across the nation. And that is one area that we must look at. Now, coming to the issue of, he has done so many things that like the crude oil swapping system, dismantled, the issue of subsidy gone, and it's talking now about even how they are going to do palliatives for the citizens and how to address the issue of the economy, having a single exchange rate. Yeah. And that is what the CBN is now working towards now. The CBN that have been so anti-people over the years, now they are now waking up to their responsibility after the man, the Emefiele man, have been taken away. So we are seeing a lot of decisions that are courageous and that are patriotic enough to save this country from the mess we are. So when you look at those decisions he has made in the last two weeks, you know that, yes, Nigeria is on the track of getting to the El Dorado that we all crave for. For me, every decision he has made was just the best for this country. Amazing. So coming to the issue of the floating of the naira. Now I don't need, and they're even talking about just 1 naira from, if you are bringing in your dollar from wherever you are bringing it, or your pounds or your euro, it cannot be more than 1 naira difference from those who are even taking it outside. So it shows you that even the banks can now have all these black marketing. You buy at the rate, and that is one of the areas that criminal areas that the CBN in the past have used to destroy this nation currency. If you buy official rates, and which you cannot get in any of the banks over the years, if you go to any bank, you want even your PTA, your BTA, you won't get it. But you can get it with the malam out there.
Standing in the bank.
Yeah, exactly.
Standing
outside.
So
sometimes they're not far
inside
from
the bank.
Inside
Inside the bank, they will tell you that's malam. So go and meet the man,
exactly.
and you will get it done. So I mean, those are the things that we are talking about. Even the new notes, new Naira notes.
That's another issue.
That's another issue. You see, when you look at it, you can't get it in the bank, but you can get it with those selling it
at event centers.
At event centers. So what does that portray? It shows us that there is no proper. There's guidelines, but the effectiveness and the implementation of those guidelines are not there. We were told so many things that is not working today. So for now, I think by the grace of God, God is going to give Bola Ahmed Tinubu the wisdom to appoint a CBN governor that will mean well for this nation.
We look forward to that. And in fact, Nigerians don't have any doubt regarding the capacity of the crop of persons he's going to bring
around.
Forward,
No.
Because that is his style. He did it in Lagos. He set a template, and we've seen how he works in Lagos even up until now. And he has promised he's going to work with youth, he's going to work with women, he's going to work with capacity, people who have all it takes to, drive the vision that he has for Nigeria. Yeah. Now, let's come to this issue of bicameral and unicameral legislature that some people have debated because of the cost of governance generally. Some people have said that we should melt the National Assembly into a unicameral legislature where it's just one instead of having two chambers. They've cited instances from about few countries who have done that in the past as a way of trying to rejig and reform their system. Others have said, well, if you look at the complexity of Nigeria, the way Nigeria is complex, that unicameral legislature in a federal system like Nigeria might not be ideal. I wonder what your take is on that.
Well, I go with the latter because having a unilateral unicameral legislature is not the main thing here. When we talk about the cost of running governments, if we have a bicameral legislature that we have now, what does that do for us? It gives us a situation where even when the House of Rep members were wrong and the Senate will say no to it, and we can now come. But if we just have a unicameral legislation where every bill can just go, bam, at the end of the day, without concurrence and acceptance of the other arm of government, then we're in trouble. Even if you have got the House of Rep members to buy into your agenda, you will still need to go to the Senate to have
a harmonization
of that law. So that alone is something that is giving us sanity. And we must not look at it as a way of, and looking at the complexity of the country also. If you say we should just have the Senate, are you telling me it's just 109 people that will be representing the entire Nigeria? Nigeria is a big nation. This is the largest black nation in the world. So you cannot just take Nigeria and compare Nigeria with any other country, even in Europe. So we must look at how best can we run this government. How are they doing it? Even in America that we have copied, what kind of system are they running? Is it unicameral? Is it bicameral? So if they are running bicameral over there, I don't see any reason we cannot also run a bicameral legislation. All we should look at, how can we now cut down the cost of governance. Which is in so many ways that we have.
Yeah.
In fact, there are some,
that is of concern to Nigeria.
Yes, in fact, there are some agencies that are supposed not to be existing any longer. We should find a way, and that is one responsibility that the National Assembly must look into.
Oronsaye report came up with that on how to merge
some of these
ministries.
Get rid of some
of these, yes. Some conflicts of roles and responsibilities. So if we can just have those, what do you call it?
Reports.
Those reports being looked into and look at how those agencies can be matched together, it will reduce our cost of operations. And I don't think the problem we also have is cost of governance is that much if we can generate more revenue to support what we have. And it's because of the leakages that we have. It's not just about the cost of governance. It is the leakage because the money does not even go to government. It goes to private pockets. So if we can get that blocked, we won't be talking about cost of governance in Nigeria. If we can block those leakages and see to it that Nigerians are getting what they desire, then there won't be issue of cost.
The leakages create a shortfall in what is accruable to government.
That's a fine place to leave the conversation. We must thank you, Honorable Segun Olulade, former National Secretary, Humanitarian Directorate, Tinubu Shettima Presidential Campaign Council, and an APC stalwart. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Thanks.